This episode of Empty Betters is brought to you by DraftKings. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going. But that just means there's still time for your favorite team to figure things out. And games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 247 of Empty Betters. I am your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on?
How about it, boys? What a day. What a game.
What a weekend.
Oh my God. Right off the bat, is that the best hockey game you've seen in like 10 years?
It,
Because,
it, it just might be.
yeah, outside of a certain team winning the Stanley Cup, that's probably the best hockey game I've ever watched.
Yes, and if you don't know what we're talking about, we're recording this on Sunday evening, the day before President's Day, when Canada will play Finland and USA will play Sweden. But we are spending this fine evening recapping the USA-Canada game from yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about Sweden and Finland as well, but I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host, Mr. Mac Vogel. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm still riding the high. I went out partying after the game last night, had a great time. Watched the game with three casuals. They really only watch hockey if they're with me, and all three of them were just buzzing all night long after the game, just being like, "Wow, that was thank you for watching that or making me watch that. Like that was so cool." I even got texts from like random people that I haven't talked to in a while that just know I love hockey, being like, "Dude, I'm watching this game right now, and like, holy shit, I might need to get into hockey." So maybe this is how we grow the
Yeah.
game, fellas.
I guess
Yeah.
so. That game started and, I had like my phone, I had like turned it face down because I was like, I don't want any distractions and like put
Yeah.
it off to like the side. And 5 minutes into the first period, like out of reflex, I look at it and there's like 75 messages. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys have seen the rating numbers, but it blew away what they thought it was going to be.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's sick. I even it's good when I was in the hotel last week in California for work and I had ESPN on and they just were talking normal shit, a lot of basketball or whatever, but they were talking about the Four Nations because I think it was the day after the first game or whatever, and they were applauding the NHL. Basically, they were saying like, look, all the other major sports need to like take a good look at this because they seem to have found something that the players actually give a fuck about to do during the All-Star break. And one quick interesting thing I heard, and then we'll get into things here, was they were saying like for the NFL, obviously it wouldn't work to do countries, but
Mhm.
someone had an idea of doing like college conferences or something like that.
That would be
Oh,
That
sick.
could be pretty freaking cool. Like,
that's how you get people to like try and injure each other, like SEC
dude, I
versus
was
Big Ten and stuff like that.
exactly. I was about
Yeah.
to say I could guarantee you the players would give a huge fuck about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is a good idea. It was pretty funny because on the internet or Twitter rather, you're seeing highlights of what they call the carnival games at the NBA All-Star
Yeah,
weekend. They were
right,
doing these
right.
crazy like underhand threes,
The
and they're
dunk
like,
contest stuff. Yeah,
these
Yeah.
guys are doing this, and then you watch USA Canada, they're killing each other
yeah,
over a literal war.
yep.
So it was fun. But yeah, Mac, I'm glad you said you had people texting you that you hadn't talked to in a while. I had the same thing, and I was
Pretty
like, this
cool.
is when you know we're hitting the
No,
mark
yeah,
here.
Yeah.
exactly.
The best text I got though, and I'm not going to say who this was, but friend of the program has been to EB events before. Halfway through the second period, texts me and says, "What channel is the USA game on?" It's like, Google it, buddy. Come on, what are
Yeah,
we
or talk
doing?
to the remote, you
And
know?
if you
Yeah,
miss the first period, you might as well just go to bed at this point because,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
hard to catch up.
So we're gonna talk about the game, but some stuff going into the game. Kale McCarr doesn't play. Shocking. Nick and I recorded a pod 2 days ago, and Nick said you're basically gonna have to, tranquilize this guy to get him to not play.
Yeah, he must
I
be
said he was gonna
real
have to
sick.
have liquids coming out of like both holes, which
Yeah.
that's the only thing that would stop me from playing
I
in a game
mean,
like that.
to
So
be fair, they've been saying the flu is like super bad this year, so
it
maybe
is.
it's just as simple as something like that. Who knows? But I mean, yeah, I would imagine it would have to be pretty severe to hold a guy like that out of a game like this.
You've got to think they also said, dude, like, we love you. You're one of, if not the most electric defenseman in the NHL, but please go away right now so no one else gets sick.
Yeah, I saw he did morning skate, and I was like, oh, I guess he's gonna go, and didn't happen. But he's skating again now. They got to Boston after the game, and he was skating this morning, so I'm sure he'll be in for that Finland game tomorrow. But that's worth noting. That's maybe their most important player, arguably. It's your ace D man. It's hard to find anything more important than that. Um, we do have the Canadians once again booing the United States national anthem, which has made its way to U.S. Congress, every news outlet on Twitter. Tom Brady's tweeting about it. So everybody's chatting about the drama behind this politically driven rivalry at this point in time. Like, what do you guys make of booing the anthem? Like, what do we think here?
So I think it's pretty, it's something I wouldn't do. I wouldn't boo another country's national anthem. Obviously there's probably some out there that would do that, but what I would love to see going into Boston is for the Garden to take a page out of the United Center's book and just nonstop cheer during the Canadian anthem. Just like go right back at it, but like in the complete opposite way. Like how they cheer throughout the American national anthem the entire time.
In
Yeah.
Chicago, yeah.
Just bust out one of those. I think that would be hilarious.
That would be kind of cool. I don't know. I get why, obviously, like you'd have to live under a rock to like not understand why Canadians
Right.
are frustrated with the US and all that. However, I saw someone, I can't remember who said this on Twitter, but I kind of take this standpoint where it's like it's not the way to like this is just a silly way to voice your displeasure to, like booing during a national, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't help anything. It just like I don't know. You're not accomplishing anything. So, if it makes Canadians feel better when they can sleep better at night, then I guess good for you guys. But I don't know. It's even Nick, what you said, like if we end up, I'm sure we'll boo the Canadian anthem or something like
It's
that, in
I was
Boston.
gonna
Boston.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask. You think we
I'm
boo their
sure
anthem?
I'm sure they probably will, but
Yeah.
I don't personally want to see that either. I just would
Right.
prefer everybody just, watch the damn game.
Yeah. It's just funny because they showed Kachuk in like the warm, like when they're singing the anthem, they've got the lights dimmed and everything's going, and he looks like he's going to run through a fucking wall. And I was like, okay, this is making good cinema. I'm really for
So,
this.
can I ask, do you guys think that the fights at the beginning of the game are directly like they only happened because of the booing stuff and the political stuff? Or do you think,
No.
like, any of that aside, do you think we still would have seen three fights to start the game? Because
Yeah.
on Twitter, I'm seeing so many Canadians being like, wow, USA is really so butthurt that we booed their national anthem that they had to like drop the gloves with us three times. And I'm like, I don't think it's that simple. Like,
I
I
think
don't.
people wildly overestimate how much the players on the ice are tuned into that. They
No,
hear the boo,
exactly.
they're aware
Yeah.
of the noise, and then it's just one in one ear, out the other. They're
Yeah.
not paying attention to that.
Well,
They're not
like they
paying
asked,
attention to what happened
well,
before
and they
it or
asked
caused
Matty
it.
Kachuk about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm sure they don't enjoy it. Like, I'm sure it pisses them off, especially guys like Kachuk's who we know are, pretty, their nationalism is
Yeah.
worn on their sleeves. So, I get it. But that being said, I kind of feel like even if nothing was going on politically like this, I saw it more as holy shit. This is the first time that Canada is playing U.S. in best on best in nearly 10 years. let's fucking set the tone right
Yeah.
now and show everybody that this game is not an exhibition game. It is something that, we are taking very seriously.
I think it's exactly what you said. And the fact that they had been like sitting on this, for lack of a better word, nut of energy for 10 years. It's like, I've got to like bust this nut. I've got to go out and bust someone in the face. So I'm going to do that. And then I love the, as soon as Matthew does it, Brady's like, all right, well, I'm going to do that too. Like the most older
How
sibling,
I was
little
gonna say,
sibling
how
thing
little
ever.
brother syndrome is that to be like, well, shit, I don't want like
Well,
dad
mom,
to
he
see
got
and like,
to like,
yeah, exactly. I don't want dad to think I'm not as tough as Matt. So like, yeah,
I saw someone post that apparently the Kachuk brothers and JT Miller had a little group chat going before the game, and
hmm
they knew that they wanted to stir the pot. Now, do
right,
I think that it's because of the booing? Not definitely not like the USA Canada game in particular. I think they knew what they were going to do. I would say maybe like 1 to 5% of that made from the first game that they played at the Bell Center maybe contributed, but not it's
yeah,
not the main factor, I don't think
right.
personally.
I
I
also
agree.
think like even had there not been guys on Canada willing to go, they probably still would have gone out there looking for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Now we're gonna see how our fellow Boston fans are going to
Oh,
react to the Canadian national anthem, of which there are many, many memes that I'm sure will be taken advantage of, and the internet's going to go into turmoil. So,
yeah. Thursday's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah.
I will
Well,
say this.
Well, hopefully. Well,
right.
we'll
That's the
see. I guess we'll
thing.
see. Yeah.
I will say this. It made it 10 times more fun the fact that they booed it, and I
Absolutely.
we need hatred in sports. We grew up with it, and it went away, and everybody's
Yeah.
friends now, and that's great. But this was just like a reminder of like I
Yeah.
love rivalries. It's
Have you
so
seen the
good.
video of them trying to get the Canadian players to say three nice things about
Yes.
Team USA? And the
Yeah.
only thing any of them can say is just like, they're like, well, like, I think it's Aiden Hill. And he's like, well, I mean, Jack Eichel is on the team. He's a nice guy. He's on my other hockey team. And they're like, okay, anything else? And they're
Yeah.
like, not that I can think of right now.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. So we get the three fights that we just talked about at the start of the game. Kachuk Hagel, Kachuk Bennett, which was the best one in my opinion, and then JT Miller uppercutting himself in the face while fighting Colton Parayko.
I just,
That fight was
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw like his gloves come off, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. No, what are we thinking here, buddy? Like
The
that's,
funniest part
Parayko.
about it is
yeah.
he's got his gloves off and he's looking at like no one in particular. He's just kind of standing there with his fists up, and like Pareko hits like basically like the meme of the guy pointing at himself, being like, me, like I'm the
Yeah.
one getting picked right now. And Pareko's like, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll fucking fight you. I'm twice your size, but all
Yeah,
right.
that was a tall task, but we set the tone 9 seconds into the game, three fights. The energy's unreal. And then a couple minutes thereafter, I think we all kind of had a bit of doom sink into our souls.
hmm
McDavid gets the puck full steam ahead at center ice, blows by Charlie McAvoy, and
Just
roof
waved at
job,
him as he went
Yeah.
by, like on the
roof
freeway.
roof
Yeah.
job on Hellebuck at the end. And
Backhander too.
yeah, it was 1-0 Canada, and I looked at my buddies and I was like, we might get blown out. We
Yeah.
definitely could.
Yeah.
It kind of
First
felt
period.
like that's where it was going because
Yeah.
it was right before that or right after that, Hellebuck had to stand on his head with those
Yeah.
two point
He
blank
made a
chances
couple
in front of the
sweet
net.
saves. Yeah, that and like a lot of the first part of the first period after the fights, we were not spending any time in the Canadian offensive or like in the US offensive zone. But yeah, credit to the boys. They answered back in relatively short fashion and kind of got the reins back, got the steering wheel back in their hands.
Um, Thoughts on that goal that Bennington gives up to Gensel? I heard a lot of people saying they thought it was soft.
I mean, maybe it was a little soft. Yeah, I picked them 5 hole, but it was the exact same shot as Crosby's golden goal. You notice that? Same exact spot, left-hander, 5 hole, the exact same thing. And I was like, okay, but Jake's got a way, man. Like I tweeted it out before the game, Nick. I said it on the last pod. He plays for big games. He comes to play, and he had two this game. I mean, he was the player of the game too.
Yeah, you called it in both games. He's been fantastic. Gets the empty net in this one as well.
And how about Dylan Larkin? Hats off to him. I feel like one of the guys on the lineup that maybe, anyone saying that certain guys got snubbed, he might have been one of the top ones that you'd say, oh, this guy should have been there instead of Larkin or something like that. He's not, you wouldn't list Larkin in the top like six best offensive threats on the team or anything like that. But I thought he had a hell of a game,
Yeah.
not just the goal, but I thought he was buzzing all night.
Vintage
I
Dylan Larkin goal. I mean, his
Yeah,
first in the NHL was exactly like that.
and I know he got some more minutes in this game than he has, so it was cool to see him kind of take the opportunity and do something cool with it.
It's a great example of, in loaded, like star-studded tournaments like this, it's, the best player in the world is not off, they're not always the best player on the ice. And sometimes some guys just have that extra gear and you just keep going back to them. And that's a great example of it.
Well, and I think too, like the Matthews, the Eichels, the guys like that on the ice have so much. Everyone's aware when they're on the ice. You know exactly where Austin Matthews is on the ice. If you're playing D for Canada, you're aware that he's a major, major threat. You can't take your eyes off him. And so guys like Dylan Larkin, who are, you know, extremely talented offensively, but when compared to guys like Eichel and Matthews, you're not going to worry about him as much. That's where you can get burnt, is kind of not worrying as much about some of these other. I mean, the worst guy on either one of these teams is like going to be the best player on a lot of NHL rosters if you move them there.
Utah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
New York Islanders.
Gotta give a shout out to one guy. And we just talked about him when McDavid kind of waved at him on the way to his first goal. But Charlie McAvoy gets burned, like we just said. 3 minutes later, on the same shift that Gensel tying goal happened, McAvoy blew McDavid's shit up. And a lot of people are saying that was the momentum shift in the game because he rocked him. And then Eichel picked up the puck, went down the other way, and was able to assist on that Gensel goal. And, him and Slavin, man, those guys ate every puck,
Yep.
bodied everybody. McAvoy was laying hits on McDavid, Crosby. I know there was a graphic going viral that he had 4 hits in the first period, two of them on Sid, two of them on Connor. You got to give a little round of applause for the USD men.
I gotta be honest, Harry, and I'm sure you're not gonna like this, but watching Charlie McAvoy run over Sidney Crosby behind the net and then sort of give him one while he was on the ground just
Yeah,
made me so happy as a human being.
yeah, it
I
was
was
cool.
I was cheering against Sid. Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I mean the Larkin goal was literally off of a Sid turnover. It was a really
Yes.
bad play by him.
Yeah,
Great breakout pass by
yep.
Sid.
Yeah, I mean, for Canada, it's like McKinnon didn't really do too much in that game, and I'm going to be very honest, and I love Sidney Crosby to death. He looked like he couldn't keep up in that one. That game was a little too fast for him.
Which is interesting because the game against Canada Sweden, he was like just
Unreal.
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess these matchups are, very different from one to the other. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys nailed it. The McAvoy stuff is cool. I will say, I mean, not that I think most defensemen in the league are gonna get blown past on that goal, so you can't really fault him. But it is moments like that where I'm like, damn, I wish John Carlson was here instead of him. Or instead of like Brock Faber. Like no shade to anybody, but I just think I think Johnny Rocket is more deserving.
Well,
Agreed.
Canada could have used two of your guys. They might have actually won this game if they did. Mr. Tommy Wilson and obviously Logan Thompson. Everyone's screaming about that, but Tom
Yep.
Wilson, that was his game. That
That
was
was
for
the game
him.
you wanted him for.
I
I
completely
don't
agree.
I don't know who's running that show over there and for whatever reason why they don't want Washington Capitals players on their team, but you have to wonder, man. You really
Yeah,
do. That would
it's
have been
just
a
fine with
completely
me.
different game.
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, I think Biz and Kevin Bieksa nailed it before the game. They like, I think maybe 20 minutes before the game, my sister texted me and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch, but I'm gonna go on record saying I kind of feel like we're gonna get the doors beat off us by Canada." And I was like, "I don't think so." And I sent her that tweet that you guys sent me about, Biz talked to Bieksa and they were saying, I think the word he used was mutants, or you could also say like junkyard dogs. Like US
Yeah.
has more mutants or junkyard dogs than Canada does.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, their forwards are the 1% of the NHL. You're
Yes.
never going to
Yes.
be better than them. We have skill players that come close,
Yeah.
but where we can beat them is that fuck you hockey, that tight
Yep.
checking hockey.
That
You know,
dog.
the
Yeah.
second that
Junkyard dog.
McDavid or McKinnon has the puck, there's two US guys on them immediately, and then you're causing two of the most talented skaters in the world to have to dump and chase.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like Canada's top line is not supposed to be dumping it in and chasing after it. I mean, come on.
Right.
No, I've seen so much online about the memes like give the Kachuk brothers the Medal of Freedom and all this shit. I saw one that was the funniest. That before the game, I think it was Friedman tweeted that they changed the lines and put Eichel with the Kachuk brothers. I think I sent it to you guys. And some guy commented, he's like, "We call that the an Eichel Tower,"
Oh yeah,
and
I
I
saw
thought that
that.
was one of the most beautiful line descriptions of all
I got
time.
a question for you guys. I know it's kind of a long shot, but after just a game and a half now of seeing the Kachucks play on the same line, on the same team, um, the results have been great. It kind of makes you wonder a little bit, like if you're Ottawa or Florida, you got to at least be thinking like, I should I should try and just see if there's a way
What
down
would
the
it cost
road
me?
to, yeah, literally just
Let's make a
like
deal,
let me
Howie.
get a price. Let me just at least price check what it would cost to get Brady Tkachuk to the Florida Panthers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You got to you those GMs have to have been watching and at least had a brief thought about like, I wonder what it would take to get these two on the same team because
And we know that's Ottawa. Like, there's no way Matthew's leaving Florida, right?
no,
Like,
well,
it
No.
would be
I only
Brady
bring it
leaving
up
Ottawa.
because Brady was involved in some trade rumors just earlier this year about how the Senators weren't maybe opposed to moving it. I think it ended up kind of being a lot of BS. Like there might not have
Yeah,
been that truth to it, but either way, it came up as a rumor, so people were discussing it.
Well, as the guys started off with, that might have been the most insane hockey game I've ever watched. Three fights in the first 9 seconds, a little back and forth, uh, bodies flying everywhere. I mean, that was probably the most perfect hockey game you could script. And shout out to Connor Hellebuck. He played great.
he
The
did.
only goalie left in this tournament with a save percentage over 900. So, yeah.
That's pretty good. I do want to give another shout out here to Austin Matthews. I know everyone was expecting him coming into this tournament to be Mr. Offense, but his defensive game last night was unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
his stick was fantastic. His quickness to get in the puck carrier's face was fantastic. 50-50 battles below the dots were incredible. And I don't think he gets enough love towards his game
Yeah,
for
well
that
said.
specifically.
Agreed, Nick. All right, before we go ahead and preview the Monday games, we are going to talk a tiny bit about Sweden, Finland. Obviously, that was a sick game as well. We know most people listening, Canadians or Americans, so apologies for the bias, but we had a sweet game to kick off the day at the 1 p.m. slate. Finland takes that one 4-3 in overtime. They had to win that game in order to stay alive. Despite their injuries on defense, they somehow pull it off. They turned to Kevin Lankinen to go into net, which I think was a big move for them. It was a great game. I think there was a lead change like 4 times in this game. Nobody was ever up by 2 goals. It just
Yep.
constantly kept going back and forth. Um, but for Finland, man, I mean, Rantanen, he woke up. He played a great game, had a sweet little like spinorama assist, secondary assist on that game tire from Barkov. And he also had a goal. So he woke up. I feel like he was the big difference between the first game and the second game for Finland.
Absolutely. It was a great game for the Finns, and I had said beforehand, and I picked them, I bet them they were going to need a little bit of chaos to win this game, and that's exactly what they got. Sweden has to make a goaltending change after the first period. They said 2 goals on 4 shots. Not really loving this. Mark get in there. They have that late goal towards the end of the first, I think it was, to make it 2-1. That's just like one of those things if you're Sweden that you just have to be able to clean up because if you go into that period tied, you probably don't pull your goalie, probably don't send a little bit of panic through your room, and I think you probably see that game out.
Most definitely. And then shout out to Pittsburgh Penguins legend Marcus Granlund for the OT winner. I think he had 2 points in 26 games with us. So shout out to him. But yeah, Finland's alive. It makes Monday a whole lot more interesting. If they would have lost, it basically, well, it would have eliminated them, and then Monday would be a lot less interesting. So, a hell of a game. A little shit talk after too. I love this. Patrick Laine with Emily Kaplan after the game. She was asking him what it means for Finland to beat Sweden on this stage, especially as plus 170 underdogs that Mr. Nick Manella called on last podcast. But Line said that they are now Sweden's big brother. Love that.
Yeah,
Beefy.
that's wild. Oh man.
That is wild. Because that, I mean, let's be real. That relationship between those two countries has always been a little bit of a big brother, little brother. And, one's significantly smaller than the other one in population. So, you could tell how much it meant to that Finnish team to have that over Sweden.
Yeah, with like I think I said it already. Their three best defensemen are out, and they still managed to pull it off.
Well, I will say, I mean, Finland, they're known for playing that suffocation kind of game. And I think someone on the broadcast, it might have been Ray Ferraro, said it during Finland's first game, which was just that if there was a team that was going to have to suffer like some defensive injuries and have to come with some defensive replacements, Finland was the most equipped to be able to deal with that because he was basically saying every Finnish defenseman in the NHL plays the exact same game. Like you plug and play any of them, and they're not any really that different than each other. They're all going to be able to kind of do what the other one would have done, and he's kind of right about that. It's a mentality.
Yeah, it's just a testament to that system. It's such a
Yeah.
good system. It's so effective when they get on their game and just throw it in your face. It's
hmm
so hard for any of those other teams to deal with.
Well, I'll tell you what, we did predictions at the beginning of this tournament before any games were played, and I was the only one that didn't pick Canada first.
Correct.
My final standings was actually USA, then Sweden, then Canada, then Finland, which is entirely possible. It could end up that way.
It is.
It is very possible, and we will jump into the Monday previews here in a second. But before we do, this segment is brought to you by Prop Tracker, your one-stop shop for all outlier bets, shots, rebounds, receptions. I think they even have golf now, so shout out to Prop Tracker for that. That's a slippery slope, live bet in golf. God bless you. But it will send you your push notifications to your home screen when your bets hit or miss. So go download the app, and I've been using it all NHL season for all the point props, assist props, all that good jazz. Use the link in our social media bios to go download now. All right. Let's start off with the 1 p.m. game on Monday. We've got Canada versus Finland. I've got DraftKings Sportsbook pulled up here. Canada minus 410. Finland plus 320. And we've got our over under at 6.5. Under is a little bit favored. What are we thinking in this game? This one's going to shift over to Boston, Massachusetts.
I just want to say how funny it would be if Canada like lost this game in regulation or something like that. And I'm trying to figure out right now what excuse would be made if that did happen. And I
All of
what
them.
would they just blame the whole thing on not having the car for like one game or like what? I mean,
They would find some way to blame us. It would once again
yeah,
be our fault. Another
right.
thing, but yeah.
If Canada loses this game after the World Junior performance they just had,
I know,
I
I
think it's
know.
I think it's time to hang
That's
them up.
why it would be so fucking funny though.
Nick, what are you thinking about this game?
This is a big time trap game, guys. Like you're not you don't have your little like Habs arena anymore. You don't have the mighty Bell Center to fall back on. You've got to go into hostile territory. You've got to go into Boston, get through that, and then play the team that had the US on the ropes for 2.5 periods.
I don't know if there's an NHL city in the United States of America that thinks less fondly of Canadians than Boston. You know
Probably.
what I mean? Just from
Yeah.
like the Boston Montreal rivalry
Oh
itself,
yeah.
or even Boston Toronto is kind of
Oh
its own
yeah.
Yeah.
rivalry too. I'm trying to think of an NHL market in the United States that thinks less of Canadians than Boston.
You
I
can't,
can't think of one.
you can't
No.
find it.
Minnesota would be way too polite.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
close to the border,
Oh,
way too polite.
right.
They're
It's
Minnesota,
They'd hit
Boston.
a soft boo and go, "I'm just kidding.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
okay. You're
Have some
welcome
hot
here."
dish. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's Boston. Now in terms of what I personally think will happen in this game, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I sort of hope I'm wrong, but in a weird way, I also I hope I'm right. I think Canada's gonna blow the doors off them. I really do believe that. I think it would be way too embarrassing for Canada to go down like this.
I crystal ball gut feeling I'm seeing like 4-1 Canada victory, something like that. And I feel the same way as you, Harry. Like, part of me just thinks it'd be so funny if they just crashed and burned and didn't even like get to the championship. But also, part of me wants to play them again and beat them again in the
right.
championship. Like,
Yeah.
So my
oh,
problem with that is I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
uh-huh, I know.
2010
Careful what
lives
you wish for.
rent free in my head, and
Yep.
the Americans beat the Canadians in the round robin of that tournament, and then we all
Yep.
know what happened in the final,
Yeah.
and yep, still not over that one.
I know, I agree, and I do think that that is a real possibility. So for that reason, I'd almost rather just step on this cockroach now instead of letting it get further down the line. But
Agreed.
I mean, let's be real. You don't want to play any of these teams. They're all dangerous in their own
Exactly.
special way. There's no easy way out. So
Well, I'm looking at the anytime goal scorer props, and you would have to go down one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. You'd have to go down to the seventh best odds to find a Finnish player. They've got Mikko Rantanen at plus 285.
That's wild.
It is McKinnon, Reinhardt, McDavid, Crosby, Point, and Stone all going into the top six. You guys got any goal scorer predictions here?
well, I was gonna ask, and this is kind of related, but do you think Canada will make a goaltending change?
I do
It's a good
not.
question.
I don't think they will. He like yeah, maybe the first goal was a little soft, but like,
Yeah.
can you really bench a guy for a 2-1 game
It's
against
not so much
America?
bench. I just think it's when you have a best on best tournament like this and you know that your quote unquote backup goalies are not backup goalies. Like, you got to at least think, does it make any sense to try and not like
Or are
because
they?
Binner played really badly or anything, but just I don't know. They probably
Just
won't.
looking for something extra.
Yeah, I don't think they will, but I at least considered whether it might be Aiden Hill or not.
Let's get an anytime goal prop here. And then we'll do the same thing in the USA game. Give me a goal scorer.
Aho.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's the odds there?
Aho would be plus 370.
Wow.
I like that. He's due.
Mac.
I kind of like, oh man. I kind of like Line.
You
Ooh.
guys are both going Finnish.
Just
Damn.
takes like a second for that to happen too,
I
which is
know.
nice.
Yeah.
Just one
Plus
power play.
plus 380 for Line, eh?
After he
Okay.
talks smack, I kind of like I like him to put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Brad Marchand playing at TD Garden. That's his home, and it's
I
gonna be
like
weird.
that.
Gonna be weird for the fans to be rooting against him.
Yeah.
Just kind of feels like that's a perfect villain game where it's like
Yeah.
I
I'm gonna
like
fuck
that
with your
pick.
head.
That's a good one. I would actually put money on that.
Plus
I
400.
I think the scenarios too, it's if you're in the Canada Finland game, just win in regulation because if that game
Mhm.
goes to overtime, it
Well,
opens the
because
door for Sweden.
Finland, Canada, and Sweden all have 2 points in the standings, right? They're all tied.
Correct.
So that I mean that just makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it makes both games so interesting.
it really does. And then I'll give a score prediction. I'll go, Nick, you said, or Max said 4-1 Canada, I think, right?
Yeah.
Your score prediction, Nick?
I'm gonna go 5-2 Canada.
I will go, yeah, 5-2 sounds right. I'll tell you on that. 5-2 Canada. I agree. 8 p.m. game. USA, Sweden. Big note here. This game doesn't matter for the US. They're already in the finals for Thursday, so keep that in mind. Also, Matthew Tkachuk will not play in this game, so they're resting him up probably for Thursday. I can't imagine he's going to miss that one.
Do you
Yeah.
think they swap out Hellebuck and give him a rest, or do you want him to keep rolling?
I was wondering that.
I think
Throw Ottinger in there or something like that. I don't know.
I think because there's still a chance you could play Sweden in the final game, you throw Hellebuck in there. Be like, hey, if we're gonna have to
Mm.
do this once, I want you to know what's coming at you.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
I feel like they'll play Hellebuck. I don't see
Yeah.
them changing from that, especially
Because,
Sullivan is fucking
well,
hard-headed.
one, you've got, it's not like it's the next day, or you've got until what they play Monday, and you've got 2 rest days before the championship. So it's not like he's going to be on any
True.
more of a crazy workload than he'd be if he was just playing for the Jets.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So USA coming in at minus 200, Sweden coming in at plus 165. We've got the over-under at 5.5 on this one. Slight favor to the over right now. What are we thinking in terms of how this game plays out?
I don't know.
I might go, this might be a little crazy, but I'm actually going to tell you 3-2 Sweden in overtime.
Okay.
I
I
think they're
buy it.
fighting for their lives, and I think, US, I'm not going to say they're going to be resting on their laurels necessarily. I'm sure they want to just keep winning. But sometimes it's hard to convince yourself that it matters when you know it doesn't.
Yeah.
Is there any scenario where like because they know the result of the 1 p.m. game, maybe they play this game differently?
That's a good question.
Like, what if Canada wipes Finland and they're like, okay, like, is there a way that, like, I don't know how that would work. Would Sweden,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they would do anything to try and like control their opponent. I just think that's beyond what hockey players are willing to do and what hockey coaches are willing to do,
Yeah.
specifically the ones that are on
Sullivan
the
and
USA
Torts.
bench, literally. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I see them as big, doesn't matter, don't care what happened earlier, go out there and win type of guys.
Roll
But
four.
it's certainly an interesting question, Harry, and I think you'd be you'd be wrong to say it's not at least going to be creeping into some players' minds what happened in
Absolutely.
that game and how that affects what's going on in their game.
Maybe it's like a game where you don't turn your body into a human torpedo.
Yeah.
Like Brady Kachuk, please.
Hmm.
I do think that if you're gonna bet some underdog money on Monday, this is probably the one.
What's
Just
Sweden
because
listed at?
plus 165.
Okay.
US minus 200. Let's get a score prediction from each of us and yet again a goal score. Nick, let's start with you.
4-2 US.
Who's your goal scorer?
Hit me with a Vinny Trocheck.
Ooh, okay. Worth noting, 4-2 would cover the puck line. USA plus 130 on the puck line. Mac, what about you?
Yep, I said 3-2 Sweden in overtime. And for a goal scorer, let's go Philip Forsberg.
Ooh, like
He's
that.
kind of due, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I will go. Hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling what Max got. I think Sweden wins 3-2, but I think it's going to actually be in regulation. I think it'll be a 3-2 game. Anytime goal score. Let's see here. It would make a whole lot of sense if Willie Nylander went into Boston. He loves even in the Bell Center, they all boo him a little bit, and he gets that big old smile on his face. I can see him playing villain too, just like my Marchand pick. So I'll go Willie style, plus 255.
I could see that.
Also, probably the most unreal style I've ever seen in that Sweden jersey. The white stick, the navy sock tape, the tinted visor, the jersey top. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah, it
beautiful.
is.
Can we like bring back mirror advisors, please? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. All right, fellas. Good epi. Sorry everyone for we got a little juggling schedules right now, so couldn't record after tomorrow. So hopefully you guys all listen to this before the games tomorrow. Any final notes before we bop on out of here?
Go USA, baby.
USA hockey is do or die.
Play Freebird. I'm secretly hoping we get a rematch with Canada, and They might beat us, especially if Kale's back, but we deserve that matchup one more time.
Yeah, we kind of do.
Yeah, I
And,
think
and that
everyone does.
and that's all I'll say. So thank you for listening. Appreciate the love and support as always, and we will talk to you in the next one.